I must write another review for season 2, but I just don't know who should I review next. Oh, I got it. IGN is a company that reviews video games and stuff. It was founded in 1996 and started its YouTube channel 10 years later. Throughout the years, IGN became one of the most hated companies in gaming journalism history. People would leave negative comments, whether it be criticism, mocking how they rate their games, or you can't spell ignorant without IGN. Well damn, is it really that bad? Only one way to find out. Before I could take a dive, I should point out that my perspective on IGN is a bit more complex than you'd assume. To start, I only watch this channel because of their video game reviews, which is what this episode is only gonna be focused on. It gets more complicated. I don't play a lot of video game franchises, so I'm just gonna dive into some certain ones. Without further ado, let's begin. Here we have the Batman Arkham games, Asylum, City, Origins, and Night. All of these reviews are pretty well detailed and informative, explaining how spectacular the combat and predator systems are, how well done the overall gameplay is, the characters, the story, the atmosphere. I definitely felt like Batman playing all 4 of these games. In terms of their final verdicts, however, I agree with the first half of the franchise, but the other half? Not so much. If I had to pick a rating that I agree the least, it would be Origins, given a 7.8 out of 10. Origins didn't get enough appreciation, as the game is pretty much Arkham City 2.0. Similar map, similar combat and predator systems. The one thing that stands out in single player are the boss battles, with my favorite in this game being Bane, who is a mix of brain and brawn, which are his tactics and his venom. My feelings on the Knight's verdict doesn't really fare much better, given a 9.2 out of 10. It does have the best combat and predator systems, the best graphics, but the tank system really overstayed its welcome. They also should have added a con, saying that a lot of the villains have very little screen time. The worst of all would have to be Deathstroke, not just because of his screen time. Watch this clip. Seriously? He gets knocked down by one punch. We went from a one-on-one fight to a repetitive tank battle. Okay, I'm done with the Batman Arkham games. Let's move on. Need for Speed, one of my favorite racing game franchises. Before I get into it, I should let you know all the reviews I'll be touching were released from 2008 to 2020. All of the reviews range from decent to pretty good.
One of the main problems is how the progression is set up. Like Midnight Club or Burnout Paradise, you're dropped into an open world you can drive around in at your leisure. However, unlike those games, there is no point to it. Races and challenges are picked from a menu, you can't actually drive to them in the city to start them. The game also has a host of technical problems. Light textures pop in, shadows move according to the speed of your car, and the game just isn't all that great looking. Even worse is that the frame rate is all over the place, especially on the PS3. This doesn't really matter all that much though, because the game is super easy. Even if you have half the stats of your opponent's cars, you're all set. I had an Audi TT beat a Lamborghini, an Audi TT.
But for some franchises, the person who reviews the games is inconsistent. Allow me to elaborate further. One person reviewed Nitro, another reviewed Shift, and another reviewed Hot Pursuit 2010, and so on and so forth. However, we have someone who has been around for the past 4 NFS games. His name is Luke Riley, and he does a really good job at creating informative and compelling reviews. Luke receives a lot of praise for his work. How come Luke doesn't have his own YouTube channel? If I ever reviewed him as a YouTuber and reviewer, I would have given him an 8, a 9, or might even be a 10. His reviews are just spot on. 2015 was given a 6.3, Payback was given a 5.9. By the way, sometime between these 2 reviews, for whatever reason, IGN removed the pros and cons that you would usually see at the end of every video. So anyway, I originally gave the video a dislike, because I got super excited playing the game and ignoring all the criticism Luke provided, but looking back at it now, I can totally comprehend all of the flaws this game suffers from.
Hey, look! You can pause it! What a novelty! There aren't any cops around during free roam either. They're only present in story missions or at certain triggers spread around the map that will initiate another linear timed chase.
Lift off!
I was fine, leave me alone!
I am everyone. I am no one. I am the underground soldier.
Awkward silence. And scene. Is that performance customization has been distilled into a collectible card game. Unlike Need for Speed 2015, which allowed us to bolt on specific parts to improve performance, you know, like a normal racing game.
This has never been about luck.
Yes! Yes, it literally has been about luck. You have a speed card slot machine!
Did I forget to mention that this guy is a compelling reviewer? Check this out. Bam. Removed the dislike. It was given an 8. Quite frankly, I agree with all of these verdicts, but I'm not so sure with Unbound getting a 7, because I never played it before. Maybe someday I will. One more franchise, Call of Duty, in my opinion. I agree with about some of these ratings, but several of which are questionable. Ghosts, Black Ops 3, World War II. These 3 reviews in particular were placed in a playlist titled Most Controversial IGN Reviews, created by Superpan21. Now this is where the company's reputation falls apart. We're getting to what IGN is infamously known for, their many botched reviews, basically the dark side. Let's take a look at some of these. Doom 2016. I played this on the PS4, and it was such an awesome experience, killing all of these demons with this kick-ass soundtrack playing. Very epic stuff, and it was given a 7.1. So wait a minute, this game has a lower score than Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Why don't we try another one? New Super Mario Bros. U. Nothing really noteworthy, except here, a 9.1. I wouldn't rate it that high because it's basically the same gameplay but with new elements. I like the addition of the Akon. The baby Yoshis were cool and adorable. Retro yes, fresh. Not really, this is the 4th Super Mario Bros. Game that has new in the title. New doesn't last for 11 years, let alone 17 years. Mortal Kombat X. I've been playing it on Xbox One lately, especially with Sub-Zero in his crime and C variation, and also Kenshi in his balanced variation. Although this dude never said a thing about the game script, it's still another pretty solid review. I guess controversial doesn't necessarily mean bad. Pokemon Day Alpha Sapphire / Omega Ruby, never played this game before. So why am I talking about it? Well, because this is the review that presented us what was probably their most laughably notorious moment. 7.8 out of 10. Too much water. Yep, that is a thing apparently. At the very bottom, we have the top 10 most disliked reviews by Tominator44. This video was posted on October 18th, 2022, almost a year after YouTube stupidly removed the number of dislikes. Tominator has already done IGN justice. Ladies and gents, here are the highlights.
We get just as angry when they rate a game too high, especially when that game is from a franchise like Call of Duty, which releases the same boring game year after year, and IGN keeps giving them 9s out of 10s. And what really pisses on our chips is when they rate games that are clearly more innovative, original, with better mechanics, graphics and gameplay lower than the latest Call of Duty game.
One thing you should know about Sonic Unleashed before spending your hard-earned money on it. It's a big piece of garbage. Big piece of garbage. Indeed, it's games like this that make reviewers rethink their lives. Now, I have a theory when it comes to Sonic games. Someone at Sega hates the Hedgehog with all his might, and he's going about trying to sabotage the franchise with these awful games.
He claims the jump button is unresponsive, then proceeds to jump over the boost ramp to his death.
The jump button can be fatally unresponsive at times, and it's just a lot of trial and error gameplay that can get a little bit repetitive after a while.
And review contains a massive spoiler where they show, without warning, a late game unlockable character in the menu screen which would spoil the whole first half of the game. Now, you'd think IGN would take the video down, edit out the spoiler, and re-upload it. But instead, they decided to leave this pinned comment in the comment section. Lazy bastards.
As the story goes to some really weird places that are as confusing as they are preposterous. The core Xenoblade experience remains intact here, lovable meathead Ryan or the stoic and inscrutable Dunban,
They call Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition
The best version of Xenoblade Chronicles we've ever had.
giving it an 8 out of 10, which is a lower score than they gave the original release and 3DS port.
Fixed power-up placement and shortcuts give experienced players who know the map an advantage.
No. Really? Do you mean to tell me that if players learn the maps and best weapon locations, they have an advantage? What was the verdict on one of the best shooters to have come out in the last 15 years? A 7.1 out of 10.
It still meets the high bar Call of Duty fans expect.
Because Days Gone's missions suffer from repetition across the board.
Oh, what's that, IGN? You don't like repetitive missions? Then why did you give the 888th Assassin's Creed game a 9.2 only 6 months earlier? And at number 2, we have a 3-way tie. Alien Isolation, Death Stranding, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated reviews all managed to achieve 51,000 dislikes each.
When the genuine scares of being hunted by an unstoppable predator are so diluted by repetition and padding, Isolation's epic length really does work against it. Someday, someone is going to make an incredible Alien video game that checks every box.
Is accompanied by some imaginative improvements, but those few bright spots aren't enough to bring Battle for Bikini Bottom's passable but simplistic gameplay up to the standard of a 2020 platformer, let alone impressive recent remakes like the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Battle for Bikini Bottom is an incredibly easy platformer with only a few truly challenging sections thrown in. The difficulty jump in levels like SpongeBob's Dream is often fun, but there's such whiplash from the rest of the adventure. And when they're done, the challenge reverts to being simplistic and kid-friendly for its final few challenges.
The most disliked IGN review was their video on The Last of Us Part 2. But you know what? Since I discovered that the game was given a perfect score, I refused to watch the original video. Angry Joe made a much more compelling, entertaining, informative review on the game, and is a game reviewer you should totally trust. After all that, I can now see why IGN received so much backlash. Now I know that all reviews and their final verdicts are completely subjective, and so is mine. All of that being said, I am giving IGN a 7.8 out of 10. Too much water. Okay, for real though, I'm giving IGN a 6 out of 10. IGN is essentially the Rotten Tomatoes of video game reviewers. Sometimes I agree, and other times I do not. Nowadays it may seem difficult to believe, but some of their reviews are actually quite decent. But unfortunately for them, the questionable currently outweighs the good. With a lot of these shitty reviews, IGN could easily give Quantum TV a run for his money.
Bye, bitch. I don't give a fuck. The reality is, that's my opinion based off of playing it as a new person. They have no easy mode. The graphics are dog shit.
A game that's not for everyone isn't a game that should be made, in my opinion.
The only way IGN can turn this around is one thing, and one thing only: hire better and more honest reviewers. Reviewers that know what they're doing and what they are talking about. I mean, look at Luke Riley and all that praise he's getting. The world needs people like him. If you want to see legit reviews, check out Angry Joe and the Act Man. They're more entertaining, more charming, and most important of all, completely honest. I'm sure anybody could make better reviews than half of these IGN employees, such as Eric Abramoff, aka the Pissed Off Angry Hardcore Gamer, is a former Jewish American YouTuber who reviews video games. Kind of. He is one of those angry video game nerd ripoffs, and it shows.
Robo Dick for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Lord knows how much I fucking hate this shitty ass fucking game.
The videos themselves have very little quality. Although the looks of IGN's content completely contrasts Eric's, visuals are not everything. Eric is one of those people who is so unintentionally funny.
This looks like a fucking chocolate chip cookie.
Let's be real here. Would you rather listen to this obscure legend? Or
the jump button can be fatally unresponsive at times, and it's just a lot of trial and error gameplay that can get a little bit repetitive after a while.
He became infamous for his Nintendo Shit Cube review. It turns out that his reviews are completely staged. Check out Wavy Web Surf's video on this guy if you're interested. Link is in the pinned comment. This pissed off, this angry, this hardcore gamer gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Yeah, one level higher than IGN. The company's hit or miss reviews and hypocrisy just kills it for me, whereas Eric's vids are so bad they are great. So take that as you will. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and follow me on these social media platforms.